shot?
2 shots, fine. Hello and welcome to the beautiful Rose Bowl Stadium in sunny Southern California, Pasadena, California. Cody Chaffetz, Justin Felder with you. We are pregame live before the Rose Bowl game, college football playoff national semifinal, and we're going to get out of your way because we just want to let you see what's going on. Justin, you tell the folks what's happening.
We're taking a look right now. It looks like the wide receiver's warming up. Ooh, missed the one-handed grab from Terry Godwin there. And the team just came in a little bit ago. They came in the suits and the ties, looking great. Kirby Smart took a walk out on the field. He was, of course, dressed to the nines, had his headphones in. We got Mecole Hardman here up next. Can he make a one-handed grab? Ooh! Cody, you saw that? Oh, you were looking away. They came in, so we got the receivers out here warming up. And players at this point are kind of gradually going to be trickling out on the field, doing their own warm-ups before they get dressed and get ready to go for the game. Can I give you my first fun fact of the day, Cody?
Go ahead, Justin.
So we took the Rose Bowl tour, and guess who else gets dressed? Where the Bulldogs are getting dressed right now.
Pray tell. I have no idea.
Beyonce.
Beyonce? So
Beyonce.
It's not that Beyonce's in George's locker room, it's that George is in Beyonce's locker room?
I think Beyonce has the cachet to be the lead biller here. So we got some guys working out in the end zone right now. You see one receiver serving as the cornerback, trying to catch contested passes here. And Cody, Jake Fromm might have to air it out. His guys are getting ready.
There's going to be definitely some times today where he gets a 3rd and long, and he's going to have to depend on the receivers. We heard from Oklahoma's defensive coordinator Caleb Gundy this week. He said this group, this wide receiver group for Georgia, he feels is the most underrated position group for this Georgia team. There you see Mecole Hardman, and see what he can do in the corner. Uh-oh, not a good sign for Dog fans as they get ready. Oklahoma warming up a little bit too. We did see Baker Mayfield out running around to a standing ovation from the Oklahoma fans a little bit ago. Taking a look the fan base, Blaine, if you just want to pan around, so that's been the big question I think we've had all week is, well, how many Dog fans is it going to be? What's going to be the ratio? Is it 60-40, 70-30? It is hard to tell because Oklahoma,
same color.
The color is so similar. But right now, it looks like a lot of Dog fans, but I am seeing a lot of Sooners just in the direction we look because that's the Oklahoma bench on that side. I would say in town, though, Justin, you've definitely seen more Dog people, right?
Yeah, we walked around the Walk of Fame yesterday, which is, the famous thing, all the stars on the sidewalk, everybody's names. And I'm going to be honest with you, it was 5-1. I think Super Blaine, who's behind the lens right now, doing an awesome job. He gets 5-1. We talked to some people who said 20-1. I think that's kind of overdoing it. But I'll be honest, for every Oklahoma person we walked by, we saw like 3 groups of Georgia fans. So maybe that just means they woke up a little earlier. We went out at like 10:30 a.m. Maybe Oklahoma fans had a little too much fun on December 30th. They had their calendars wrong. I don't know. But I think in the stadium today, it will certainly be an edge in terms of the fans for Georgia. And you made this point earlier this week, Cody. The guy with a hoarse and raspy voice, Baker Mayfield's going to be having to yell over the crowd. So this is the day to make a lot of noise.
And Dog fans, if they can take over this stadium, Baker will definitely have to strain his voice to get over them, to make those calls to his receivers. They also asked Coach Lincoln Riley about having to make hand signals. He wouldn't give too much away, but I got to imagine they're ready for a loud environment too. They play in the Big 12 after all. They're used to this. Looking down, I see Garrison Hurst just arriving, walking over. Former Lincoln County star, Georgia star, 49er star. He's California man, so there he is, walking through. Former Dog, Garrison Hurst. We're expecting to see a lot of former Dogs out here during the game, and you got to imagine, there's Baker Mayfield right there. Speak of the devil, the Heisman-winning quarterback from Oklahoma, out of Austin, Texas, and he's enjoying it. I think he's going to eat up when the Dog fans are booing him. He's that kind of guy that just loves it. He's got a little swag as he walks down. He doesn't look sick. There's no flu-like symptoms right there, Justin.
No, and he's getting, those camera guys maybe need to wash their hands a little later if he's still got some symptoms. But you see him bouncing around, and you're right. I think he kind of is a guy who eats this up, who likes, I think the wrestling term is a heel. Is that the right term right there? Where he likes kind of being the villain. He likes being booed, and I don't know if you can hear right now. We'll point the microphone towards the fans. Yeah, they're giving Baker Mayfield an earful. He's down here with mostly Georgia players. I mean, I guess he feels like he is the reign of the field right now. And listen, he's the Heisman Trophy winner. This is, I'd say, easily the best quarterback that Georgia's going to face all season long, and he's good for a reason.
You know what he's doing? He's getting these dogs all riled up.
Yeah.
The Georgia wide receiver group is telling him to go to the other end of the field.
And you see they're laughing.
And he's just messing with them at this point. And he's got his wireless headphones in and catching passes. I don't think that's a sign of anything we're going to see today. The rest of the Oklahoma players are on the other end of the field getting ready. And it's Baker Mayfield by himself. He does have maybe one coach and one person throwing passes to him. Catching passes on this Georgia sideline. Terry Godwin runs literally right in front of the Heisman winner.
We should keep our eyes on this, Cody.
Yeah, this is drama.
Just to give you an idea for folks who maybe don't get to games that early, if you're enjoying the tailgate or watching something else on TV, usually at this point of warm-ups, you have one team on one end and the other team on the other end. You don't have this kind of mixing, except maybe the field goal kickers. But I'll tell you what, walking right now, right around the goal line by the hash marks, is a couple other Oklahoma players. So maybe it's a little bit of looser rules right now, but hey, where the wide receivers are working out, they got to kind of duck around the Heisman Trophy winner here. So
this is power.
That's something you see very often.
Power moves 101.
Power moves.
This is this dog coming over here saying that's my hydrant.
Yep.
And these dogs not having it, running right by him. If there's a little contact made, things could get crazy here. And we're watching dog fans just give him all he can take. He's still out here running routes. I'm not sure why he runs routes, just to get loose, I guess.
Might as well. You don't see this out of Matt Ryan or Jake Fromm pregame. But let's talk about containing Baker Mayfield while we got him over here, Cody. It's been a topic that you've asked a lot of defensive players about, and it's not so much shut him down; it's maybe keep him under control. What were some of the keys that Georgia defenders gave you about containing Baker Mayfield?
I think, the pass rush is important, and everybody wants to get upfield and get after the quarterback. But what happens is, if the Georgia players aren't disciplined, they don't all rush kind of as one. One guy gets way upfield, well, that creates a lane, and that's all he's looking for, to scramble around and extend a play and to make a play with his feet. He also, one of the things Baker Mayfield likes to do, it's not necessarily scramble, but he'll scramble around, run right up to the line of scrimmage, and then throw the ball.
Right.
And that's when you've got linebackers coming off their man, you've got safeties coming off their man, thinking they're going to have to come up and tackle him scrambling, and that's when he makes them pay with a throw right over their head. So that's something Georgia's going to have to do. And it's, you got to set the edge. You've got Davin Bellamy, you've got Lorenzo Carter, those guys coming off the edge.
Right.
They're going to have to keep him in the pocket if they can, but it's those middle guys too that all kind of have to be as one and all be on the same page, or else they'll create gaps and he'll take advantage.
We got the Georgia wide receivers, it looks like right around the 12-yard line there, Blaine, huddling up, getting ready for the game here, getting ready to go back in, maybe get their uniforms on. But going back to Baker Mayfield, is he still warming up here down in, looks like the Georgia end of the field. You mentioned staying disciplined, not getting too far up. We see this, with the Falcons when they play Cam Newton or Dak Prescott. They had to deal with this in Russell Wilson. Really, Georgia, faced some spread teams. Auburn is a spread team. Jarrett Stidham likes to run a lot. But this is a different offense. And the Big 12, they put up 40 and 50 points a game for good reason. It's not a challenge that Georgia's dealt with a lot this season, but Kirby Smart was asked about that several times, and he said, you know what, the SEC is not the I formation, 2 yards in a cloud of dust, just run the ball anymore. It's a different league now than maybe you get the stereotype for, so he feels confident that this team has seen this kind of offense. And you know what, in terms of being disciplined, there's no more challenge in terms of discipline than playing a triple option team, and they shut down Georgia Tech in the regular season finale. Obviously, that's not what Baker Mayfield's going to do. Maybe some read option in there that you see a lot. Not quite what we're going to see from Georgia Tech, but the defense is used to reading their keys and trying to do exactly what they're supposed to do rather than freelancing.
And it's eye discipline is what Georgia, Kirby Smart will talk about. The term is eye discipline. Trusting what you see. Don't get distracted by the man in motion. Don't get distracted by the window dressing. Now, in order to stop Baker Mayfield, we went to the expert. I was over earlier this week at NFL Network and talking to former Georgia Bulldog and NFL Network analyst Terrell Davis. And Davis actually told me the best way to keep Baker Mayfield from scoring is to keep him on the bench. Here's what he had to say. Well, as soon as we heard Georgia was going to the Rose Bowl, they asked me, Cody, who are any West Coast dogs? One man came to mind, the man who dropped a Go Dogs in the middle of his Hall of Fame speech here with Terrell Davis. How excited are you for the Dogs to be coming to the West Coast?
Yeah, man, I'm really excited about it. I think for me, when I first heard that they were going to play in the Rose Bowl, I was giddy because you never see the Dogs playing this far west. I think I saw them in Colorado a few years back, but to have them in California playing Raptor Street from where I live, man, I was juiced with that one. So
you're part of the reason they call it our running back university. Yeah. They got a pretty good backfield right now. What do you see out of Sony Michel, Nick Chubb, and even DeAndre Swift?
Yeah, the great thing, they have depth, and they got backs with different styles. According, of course, like Nick Chubb is your big back, 225 pounds, but he's got speed with that. Sony Michel, he's just this guy that is a burner, but also can play with some power. And then DeAndre Swift, we saw what he did in the championship game. The guy can blow a game wide open. So they've got a backfield that they can rotate backs in. And what happens is they feed off each other. So if you're getting a big play on a run, I'm coming in, I see that, I got to get my big run. And it's not competitive in a bad way. It's in a good way.
As we look at the Rose Bowl game, I think Dog fans are worried about Baker Mayfield as an analyst.
Yeah.
When you see him, he's kind of Johnny Manziel-esque.
Yeah.
What do you see out of Baker Mayfield?
You see that. He's a big guy, too. And he's a bit of a gunslinger, so he's going to take some chances, which is good because that's opportunities for the defense to make some plays. You certainly believe he's going to get his. And I think the one way you attack guys like that is you try to attack him on the other side of the ball, meaning keep him on the bench. That's the best way to keep a guy like that in check because you want to limit his opportunities to make big plays against you. He is a gunslinger, like I said, so that means that you could get some chances to make some plays, but if you don't defend him correctly, man, that game could get out of control quickly. So Georgia has to play it to this where they're playing this game from ahead, meaning they got to slow this game down, run the ball, try to make the game go faster and limit Baker Mayfield's opportunities, and I think they got a great chance of winning this game.
I won't ask you a prediction, but Dogs by how many?
That's a great one. That's a great one. I'm saying Dogs win this one. I'm saying by 3. This is a 3-point win for the Dogs.
I want to thank Terrell Davis for making some time for us this week. If you don't know Terrell Davis' story, grew up in San Diego, went to Long Beach State, and then Long Beach State shut down their football program, and he said he came home one day and there was a message on his answering machine, a recruiter from Georgia. He said, where? He didn't know much about the University of Georgia coming out of San Diego or Long Beach, but he wound up there playing for Ray Goff, kind of flew under the radar famously as a Bulldog, and then, he went on to have an NFL Hall of Fame career with the Denver Broncos, now working for NFL Network, and was a loud and proud Dog fan when we talked to him. He's expected to be here today. We're still taking a look live here at Rose Bowl Stadium as we get ready for Georgia and Oklahoma, number 2 and 3 showdown. 5 o'clock Eastern kickoff. And we will get you as close as we can. They'll kick us off the field at some point so they can get ready for the big broadcast. Baker Mayfield still kind of out. There he is, straight down the line, Blaine, on the 5-yard line here. Still getting ready. Some of his other players, the special teams guys out for Oklahoma right now, they have the pads on. Baker still just in the long sleeve, does have the pants on, and he's catching passes with his earbuds in. Georgia players have gone back to their locker room, those wide receivers who were out making catches a moment ago. Crowd's starting to fill in too, and when you look at the stadium, what I was surprised about is there's really not a bad seat. It's all it's a little wider than most stadiums, but it's all very close.
So, fun fact number 2, Cody, you ready?
Go ahead.
All right, so this stadium they built based off of the Yale football stadium. Now everybody knows what that looks like, right?
Yes.
Yale. Well, anyway, so it's a bowl that kind of goes out instead of up, right? So it's around 90,000 seats, but it's not. Oh, listen. We're gonna get there. It is. We got some fireworks going on. Why not? But I saw him coming that time, so I didn't jump.
A little scary.
So the stadium is built like a bowl. It goes out instead of up. So you think of, Neyland Stadium, the big house where it's 90,000 seats, it's a ton of people, but you might find yourself with a nosebleed at the end of the day. That's not the case here. We were walking around. We were in the press box earlier, which is above all of the seats, and it's not bad. I mean, you don't feel like you're that high up. This was actually built, the stadium, into kind of a little valley. We're surrounded by mountains all around here. But the Valley, when it was built, was actually a trash dump, strangely enough. They just were looking for a place in the early 1900s, and they said, this dump is going to be our future spot. So they excavated the area, and it's funny, they have a little museum-type area inside the Rose Bowl for fans when they give tours, and they have pieces of trash that they found excavating the site. They have old Coke bottles, they have a wagon wheel that looks like it could be from the 1800s that were buried down, that surely they were putting in pipes or wiring or something like that and had to go pretty deep, but pretty cool. Bottom line for fans is, like you said, it is a great place to watch a game because you don't feel like you're that far away or that high up.
All the concession stands and everything. We go to Mercedes-Benz Stadium almost every week, so when you come to a place like this, it's been around since the 20s, completely different, but you don't need a roof here because the weather has just been absolutely perfect. It gets a little chilly at night, but the sun will set during this game today, and it'll certainly make for beautiful pictures on television. One of the other things about this stadium that to me is interesting, Georgia's only played here one time. It was New Year's Day, 1943. It was on the same field. It probably looked much the same way. I'm sure people weren't worried about which hashtag to use, but this is the field where Georgia beat UCLA 9-0 in that game. Charlie Trippi was the MVP. We've talked to him earlier in the week. Frank Sinkwich scored a touchdown. We talked to Frank Sinkwich IV, the great-grandson of the legendary Georgia running back, who's a fullback on the scout team, so he'll be suited up. I think it'll be pretty neat to have a Frank Sinkwich on the field warming up for Georgia. And again, it probably looked much the same way on that New Year's Day 1943 when Georgia, the only time they've ever played in this game. Now, today also, interestingly, the only time Georgia's ever played Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And when you think about Georgia and Oklahoma, and these are teams that are playing in big games for years and years and years and have never played one another. Georgia has played Texas. They played some other Big 12 teams, but just never played Oklahoma until today. And what a stage to meet on. The college football playoff semifinal, 2 versus 3. Winner goes to the national championship game next week.
We'll kind of reset where we're at here. Thanks for joining us here on Fox 5 Atlanta's Facebook page. You got Justin Felder and Cody Chapins here live in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl Stadium. We are, as I take a look at my clock, a little under 2 hours away from kickoff here in the Rose Bowl game. You're taking a look at the field right now. Across the field, that's where Oklahoma is warming up. It's like a lot of them in gray tops. We're actually seeing some guys coming out in Oklahoma uniforms playing. We see the field goal kickers off to the right around the 25. It's a little bit far away, but you're seeing some Oklahoma players start to come out in their jerseys, in their helmets, practicing some field goals. They'll probably go to both ends of the stadium, get a sense of what the wind's going to be like, what the conditions are. The teams were out here yesterday for team photos, but probably didn't get a whole lot of a read on the turf or on the goalposts when they're kicking either way. So, joining us here to give you an idea of the stakes, you know exactly what they are. First Rose Bowl since 1943, college football playoff. You win it, you are in the national championship game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium against the winner of the Sugar Bowl. That will either be Clemson or Alabama. Georgia, it's their first time in the national semifinal game, only been around for a little bit. But SEC teams have done pretty well, even if they're not doing so well in the bowl games right now. We haven't looked at the Peach Bowl score in a little bit. It looks like Auburn maybe could recover some dignity for the SEC. As you see the crowd filling in right here, what are you seeing, Cody?
Some dogs in the tunnel right now. Looks like some special teams guys. And the dogs in white uniforms today. Georgia will be in the white
team.
They will be in white. Oklahoma in that crimson, and looks like they're getting ready to run out. Rodrigo Blankenship
Here we go.
Try and get things figured out pregame. Here come Georgia's long snappers, Georgia's kickers, and punters. And Cameron Nizilik running through the end zone at the moment. Georgia punter, of course, went to Columbia, graduated from an Ivy League school, and then decided he needed to come to the Harvard of Athens, University of Georgia.
From Ivy to the Rose.
Very cool. He knows a little bit probably about Yale Stadium.
Yeah, we should have asked him.
So there you go. So Georgia's, usually this is how it works for those who don't get out of their tailgate soon enough to get in the stadium 78 minutes before kickoff. Usually have the special teams guys come out and get loose. If you're curious, yes, Bryce Ramsey is out punting, former our current Georgia quarterback, but we know him a little bit better for punting the last couple of years for the University of Georgia. Still having some guys come out, and there is Stetson Bennett.
Now that's your guy, Cody.
That is Stetson Bennett. He's had the 22 on his helmet all week, but in practice, he's been wearing the number 6.
Why is that?
That's because he, all week, has been Baker Mayfield. Bennett has been playing that role since Georgia found out they were playing Oklahoma. In fact, Bennett has been Georgia's scout team quarterback. He's been taking on the role of Jarrett Stidham and all of these other quarterbacks as Georgia's gone throughout the year, but taking on a Heisman winner was a big deal. We caught up with Bennett on media day and talked to him, and I said, he said he tries to pick up Baker Mayfield's snap count. He tries to pick up Baker Mayfield's style, and he wants to know exactly how he plays so he can give his guys the best look possible. Bennett won't be doing much today, but he'll get to kind of watch the work he's been putting in with Georgia's defensive backs, Georgia's linebackers, and defensive linemen. Bennett played quarterback at Pierce County High School. It's down in South Georgia. Said he had other offers, could have gone other places, was a preferred walk-on at UGA. Said his mom and dad went to pharmacy school, really wanted to go to UGA, so there was never any doubt. Walked on, and he's been here on the scout team all season long. Says he loves it. Says one of the other things about Baker Mayfield that people don't know is he walked on twice. Walked on at Texas Tech, became their quarterback. There's Hot Rod Blankenship, Sprayberry High School zone. Talking about Baker Mayfield, also decided to leave Texas Tech, then just walked on at Oklahoma and took the place of quarterback who they had in there at the time, Trevor Knight, and the rest is history for Baker Mayfield. Has gotten them to a couple of college football playoffs now. Didn't go so well the first time as they lost against Clemson a couple of years ago. This time, though, out for a little revenge. Oklahoma has talked about the fact that they've done this before, makes it a little easier for them. They know what to expect, but Georgia is also saying the same things. Georgia's quote all week, keep the main thing the main thing. Kirby Smart dropped that one in the press conference yesterday as we continue to look at the Bulldogs getting ready. Rodrigo Blankenship in the pink shoes. You see him down there, Blaine, in the pink shoes?
We got who? All right, we keep taking a look at the team warming up out here.
Do a quick interview. Hand him a microphone. Blaine, we're here with Georgia Director of Athletics, Greg McGarity. We are live on Facebook back in Atlanta.
Got it.
Tell me about this week. How much fun has it been to be out here?
Well, it's everything we expected it to be and even more. What the Rose Bowl staff has done, their staff of volunteers, has just been off the chart. And it's so proud to represent the Southeastern Conference out here as the SEC champions, and just to be able to play in the granddaddy of them all, and just to be on this field after so many years of so many of us just thinking about the opportunity to come play in the Rose Bowl, and here we are.
I know you're a guy who appreciates the history of it. Did you come out here and start thinking of 1943 and what that day was like for those dogs?
Well, I just remember coming out here yesterday about this time and just walking around the entire stadium and kind of just checking every little nook and cranny, just to be able to say that, I've seen it from where my family's going to be sitting, I've seen it where the coaches will be sitting, and just to be able to experience everything while we're here.
Does anything strike you about the stadium when you walk in? A little different than Sanford?
Well, it's from the outside as you enter the stadium. It's not one of these high-rise stadiums. I mean, it looks like it may be 2 or 3 stories high, and then you walk in the vomitory and you walk straight down. So it truly is a bowl, and I know they built it very similar to the Yale Bowl. And so there's no upper deck. You've got obviously some press box and VIP areas up there, but to be able to see trees, and I know when the sun sets, those that are able to watch the sunset over the mountains will probably have a view like none other.
You had the big decision a couple of years ago to bring in Kirby Smart. Yep. Did you think this quickly they'd be in the college football playoff?
Oh, I don't think you put a timetable on anything. I think you just want to be moving the program in the right direction, and when those times came, regardless whether it was 1, 2, 3, 4 years, just believing that it could happen. And so here we are after year 2, and just very proud of Kirby and the staff and the young men on the field.
You knew a lot about Kirby when he got here. Have you learned anything new about him through these first couple of years?
No, just extremely hard worker, embraces accountability. Kids love playing for him. He demands excellence, and he's been very consistent from day one.
How do you see this game playing out today?
Oh, I think it's going to be a game that always comes down to who can dominate at the line of scrimmage, and hopefully we'll be on the right side of that.
All right, Greg. Thank you so much
guys.
for
Thank
joining
y'all.
us.
You bet.
Go Dogs today. Greg McGarity, Georgia's Director of Athletics, joining us. I want to thank him for that.
You got the band behind us, Cody.
Keep your seats, everyone. The Redcoats are right here. Hey, Claire Sims caught up with the band this week. Didn't you, Claire? Tell me.
I did. Hi.
Claire's joining us.
This is a surprise. So the band has been working really hard. I did a story with them yesterday. They got into town on Saturday, and they, it's a long trip, right? They've only known that they were going to be here at the Rose Bowl for about a month or so. So after the SEC championship, and then when we found out Georgia was going to be playing in the Rose Bowl, that's when sort of everyone associated with Georgia had to start making plans. So the Redcoat Band included. Now, of course, a big part of being a part of the Rose Bowl as a band is being in the parade. So the people over here in the Redcoat Band, you can see them all dressed up. It's really hot for them here today in these full uniforms, a lot different from what we've been seeing as far as we can tell in Atlanta weather-wise. But they came out on Saturday. They immediately drove to a local high school. It's probably 10 or 15 minutes away from us here at the Rose Bowl Stadium. And they went to work. They were practicing. They also had a practice on Friday night before they left Athens. The big thing they wanted to make sure that they practiced was getting ready for that parade. That's because the UGA Homecoming Parade, if you've ever been downtown Athens, it's less than a mile long. They're very aware of that. This parade today, 5.5 miles. It takes 2.5 hours to complete. So as soon as they found out they were going to be in the Rose Bowl, they were going to be representing the University of Georgia, they said, all right, everybody, if you don't normally do cardio, if you don't normally get out and walk, if you don't normally get out and run, you need to be doing that over the next few weeks. And I actually talked to a young lady who plays trumpet. She is from Woodstock, and her name is Ellen Harden, and she told me that not only was she working on her cardio, but she was working on her lifting and her upper body strength, because when you play the trumpet, you have to hold your instrument up like this for 2.5 hours while you're walking 5.5 miles. So they had a lot of preparation going into today's activity.
Let's ask them about it.
And okay, let's see, Cody.
How are our feet feeling? We okay? 5 miles?
A bit sore.
Yeah. Arms are sore. Can't beat it though, right?
No, it was great.
All right. Everybody's tired. I'm sure the guys with the trombones have got to be.
I know. I felt the worst for them. But
You guys doing okay? 5 miles, no problem? Staying hydrated, feet are okay? All right.
All right.
I can't imagine. My arms, I just don't think I could have the upper body strength, but.
Neither did I. We made it though.
All right. They were all worried about the big turn at Colorado. Did it go okay? I thought it went pretty well. Yeah. Tell us about that turn,
if you're
Claire.
not aware, the turn at Orange Grove Boulevard and Colorado Boulevard, it's not just a 90-degree turn, it's a 110-degree turn. So that's really more extreme, if you will, than any other parade that you might march in. And so they were practicing out at Arcadia High School yesterday, trying to make sure that they would get that turn down, because as I was explaining to our photographer Blaine, who I guess was never in marching band, I'm going to show my dorkiness here, and some more fireworks you can hear going off right now. But the people on the inside of that turn, you have to take little baby steps. The people on the outside of that turn, you have to take really big, giant steps to try to keep that line in order. So that was what they had to practice yesterday. And apparently they're pretty pleased with their performance. So that's good to hear from those kids who've been working really hard.
Claire, that was one of your stories this week. You had a few of them. I think one of the most special ones happened with a former Chamblee Bulldog. I'm a Chamblee High School alum, but Davin Bellamy, and tell me about that story, and I think we have it, so you can toss to it.
So Davin Bellamy and his mom, really adorable. They are just super sweet, single mom. She works at Chamblee High School. She's been there for 25 years. Davin actually went to high school at Chamblee, and so they kind of talked a little bit about what that was like in the hallway, but she told me that she calls him by a special name that most dog fans probably haven't heard before.
I don't hear from him, then I'm I'm texting him, oh, no love today or what?
Bridget Bellamy says she and her son, UGA linebacker Davin Bellamy, talk every day. And it's easy to see she's a proud dog mom.
Hey, go dogs.
She may wear the name Davin Bellamy across her chest, but she prefers to call him by a name reserved just for her.
Actually, I call him by his middle name, which is Jamarie.
My mom never calls me Davin or Bell. She always calls me Jamarie, so that's kind of her name for me.
And Bellamy says there's really only one time that changes.
Because when he's in trouble, it's son. It's son. It's not Jamarie, it's not Bell, it's son. Like when I know he's upset with me, it's mother.
But every game day, the mother and son share a special moment of faith.
She always sings me like a Bible verse or something like that, kind of to keep my mind just, simple and not with all the distractions around.
And Ms. Bellamy says she already picked out the verse she plans to text her son ahead of the Rose Bowl, the one she always keeps close to her heart.
Our favorite Bible verse, I have it on here. And that's Davin. And then I have our Bible verse, Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans that I have for you.
Bellamy says she ran into her son at the team hotel, and she was so excited to see him and give him a hug because she won't get to see him again until after the game on Monday night. In the meantime, she and other dog parents are spending time exploring LA. Reporting in Los Angeles, Claire Sims, Fox 5 News.
A really cool thing, an additional detail we got from Claire Sims was that Davin Bellamy gave his mom a book of possible homes she could buy kind of as an advanced present for when he hopes playing in the NFL next year. But he's a guy that many people predict will be in the league pretty soon here. So providing something for mom and a car as well. She was really touched that he would think of her first. So great story from Claire Sims talking to Davin Bellamy and his mom out of Chamblee High School, linebacker for the Georgia Bulldogs. All right, let's reset it. Tell you where we are. We are live from Pasadena at the Rose Bowl. The granddaddy of them all. We are 66 minutes and 7 seconds away from the kickoff of the Rose Bowl, the college football playoff semifinal between the Georgia Bulldogs, number 3 in the playoff standings, and the Oklahoma Sooners, number 2 in those standings. You are here with Justin Felder and Cody Chaffins from Fox 5 Sports. Claire Sims also from Fox 5 News doing awesome work out and around Pasadena. We got Super Blaine coming behind the camera right now, and you are looking live at the Georgia Bulldogs out on the field warming up right now. Still just the specialists out here, but I get the sense that real soon we're going to be seeing the entire team coming out, getting those warm-ups started. It's an exciting time. I bet you're going to hear it from the crowd. We've had fireworks going off. It's kind of everything happening right now, but the game's getting closer. I'll tell you, scene-wise, we got some clouds in the sky, but it's blue skies. The stands are really filling up, and I don't know, Cody, you tell me. I'm looking at the Georgia side right now, and it's probably half full. And then if we look at the Oklahoma side, off to the right across the field, I don't know, are they still at the tailgate? You got to close up your check. I don't know what they're doing, but the Georgia fans showed up early. Take a look to the left. That's about half full. It's more dense for sure. And I think as we get into the game, noise may become a factor. Obviously, it's going to be loud for both sides, but if Dogs fans get some momentum, they can make their presence felt, then that's something that could certainly have an impact in the game. Bring back in Cody Chaffins here to talk about this game. It's both of our first times here at the Rose Bowl. It's a great experience. We're real lucky to get to cover it, but what are some of the things that stood out to you most about this experience, Cody?
Here come the Sooners.
So we have the Oklahoma Sooners coming out on the field. Take a look and a listen.
Almost like the old applause meter on a talent show. Where you just
actually, you know what? Yeah, let's get ready, Blaine, because the Georgia Bulldogs getting ready to come out of the tunnel right now. And I'll tell you what, we're just going to be quiet and let you listen to this.
Sony Michel just to your left. Georgia running back playing what possibly could be his final game as a Georgia Bulldog. He and Nick Chubb would like to play one more next week, maybe in Atlanta. But he and Chubb came back for one more year. This is why they came back. Don't see Chubb with the running back group right now. Isaac Nada catching a pass. DeAndre Swift, Elijah Holyfield down the way. And then you see the quarterbacks warming up.
Taking a look at number 11 there, right in the middle, Jake Fromm. You know him. We now know what his voice sounds like, which is nice. Rose Bowl week, the first chance we've had to hear from Jake Fromm, because the policy is for Kirby Smart, true freshmen don't speak to the media, which, hey, if you fans are okay with it, I guess who are we to complain? But it was nice this week to hear his voice. We've heard so much how mature he is, how he feels like an adult already, even though he's just a teenager as a true freshman. We heard that maturity firsthand. Got a chance at Media Day to sit down with the starting quarterback, led the team to a one-loss record in the college football playoff semifinal. And we talk about football, don't worry, we're going to get to that. But the first question I asked Jake Fromm when we sat down was about what makes him tick. I asked him, what is he passionate about besides football? And here was his answer from Media Day.
Gosh, I love hunting and I love fishing. Those are two things. If I'm not playing football or sports or hanging out with my family, I'm doing one of those two things. And usually you hang out with family, while you're doing, duck hunting or fishing and whatnot. And, man, I love it. Love being outdoors. It's just awesome.
I remember from the other day when you said there were moments when you kind of walked into class and all of a sudden people recognize you. Give me like the one moment where it was like, okay, this year's going to be different.
It's just, crazy, when you kind of go out in a place, you'd never thought, anybody would know you and, somebody's asking you for a picture. At the end of the day, life's changed a little bit, but you try to take it one day at a time and try to enjoy it.
Do you have like a technique? I mean, everybody said, how's a freshman going to not get rattled at Notre Dame or on the big Rose Bowl stage? Do you have something you repeat to yourself? Do you have a way to not get rattled?
At the end of the day, I really don't, kind of worry about it too much because at the end of the day, I know God has my back and He's not going to put me in anything that's too big for me. And really just try to prepare and take it one day at a time.
Last thing, you're going to look up at the stands on New Year's Day. Do you find the family? Do you just look at all the red and black? Do you try to block it out?
At the beginning of the game, you try to block it out and, try not to let it get too big for you. But hopefully, towards the end of the game, when we're winning, you kind of, take it up and try to enjoy it a little bit.
As we're still taking a look at Jake Fromm here, the true freshman quarterback, obviously. We've been asking a lot of his teammates this week, as well as the Oklahoma Sooners, about what he needs to do today, and Oklahoma on their side, what they need to do to stop him. And Cody, we'll start with what the Oklahoma folks said. You talked to them, and it sounded like they were pretty impressed with what they saw on tape from Jake Fromm.
It is. I think Bulldog fans have watched him all year, and you felt like he got better. But to hear it from Oklahoma, those players said, yeah, we watched that film at the beginning of the year with the Appalachian State game. We watched Notre Dame, and then you go and watch the SEC Championship, and they saw incredible growth out of Jake Fromm, which is just what Georgia fans saw as well. You think about just getting through the Notre Dame game was one thing, but then the SEC Championship, he's throwing out routes across the field, and he's making big plays. And that's, just part of his growth as a player. The other thing they said they saw a lot, on these run-pass option plays, if he's running kind of his own read, he's pulling it a little more, has a little more confidence to run the football himself. And that's what Oklahoma players say they saw on film. Now, Georgia coach Kirby Smart was asked yesterday about, how's it going to be Jake Fromm? How can he match up with Baker Mayfield, the quarterback from Oklahoma? And Kirby said, well, he said have to match up with Baker Mayfield. Jake Fromm's not going to be out there playing defensive back. He just needs to take care of what he does. And what Jake Fromm does well is get the ball to Sony Michel and to Nick Chubb and to find his big tight ends and, let those guys make the big plays, and that's what will be key for him today. Now, there will come times where he's going to have to make a big throw and have to come through, and he can't just hand it off to Nick Chubb, and I think that's where this game will be decided, is when he can make those big plays, and if he can on a critical third down conversion and get the chains moving. Continuing to watch him warm up. Fromm talking with Jim Chaney, Georgia's quarterback coach. By the way,
star of Rose Bowl week.
It's Kirby Smart's policy as well. He doesn't let the freshmen talk. He doesn't let his coordinators talk very much. So we never get to hear from Jim Chaney except at the beginning of the year and the end. And I it's always a treat because he comes in and he's got jokes. So he walks in right after the Oklahoma defense had their press conference. He looks at the media and says, "Hey guys, did they say anything? Do you guys have any tips about what they said that he could pick up?" It just a lot of fun, and I think all the players said that about him too. As he makes fun of Nick Chubb and Sony Michel said he just gives them grief all the time because there's so many running backs in this Georgia arsenal. And you got guys like Chubb and Michel. He says, well, they only get 2 reps and they're back. They're done for practice.
They don't even break a sweat
every day. And Chubb says, it really gets him fired up because he's such a hard worker. He can't take a play off, and to get some guy giving him grief like that just really fires him up.
Sounds like the announcer there. Have you heard the swell asking if there are any Georgia fans here? And there are, and they're making some noise, Cody.
Yeah, looking down at Oklahoma warming up, but it's interesting. A lot of these. I was talking to some of the folks in town and who have seen both teams, and they have said that Georgia just looks bigger. I mean, Oklahoma has some big guys, but Georgia physically looks like a bigger team than Oklahoma. Not sure what difference that'll make when they kick off, but it can't hurt.
Absolutely. We want to give a shout out to everybody watching right now live on Facebook. We see we have thousands of views, lots of shares. Thank everybody for liking and sharing and commenting. We have our friend Tyler from Afghanistan. I don't know if you caught that over the cheer there. Tyler from Afghanistan tuning in, rooting on his dogs, getting ready for the game. So thank you, and thank you to everybody for tuning in here and also for interacting with us all week long on social media. It's been a lot of fun to hear your comments, to see people out and about. I'll tell you what, we've seen so many people that have come up to us with the Fox 5 mic flag that say, hey, I'm from Atlanta, I'm from Noonan, I'm from Griffin, I'm from Athens, here in Los Angeles. So thank you to everybody as we continue watching the warm-ups here.
And I will tell you, as I sit here and look across the field, and tell me if I'm wrong, the person I don't see out here is 27. Nick Chubb is not out warming up the team.
Not yet.
I don't know if that's normal, if that's different, what it is. Maybe just because he's more of a running back and not catching many passes. Don't see him out here yet warming up with the dogs. Do see Sony Michel right there with Jake Fromm, as those two are getting. Every other running back's out here, though. You got DeAndre Swift. I can see Brian Harry and Elijah Holyfield all out here taking reps.
If we take a look, Blaine, over to the left, right around the 5-yard line, number 10, Jacob Eason, a guy who the Dogs hope doesn't get in the game today unless it's in blowout fashion. Someone else we haven't heard from this year, but has a really interesting story. I mean, listen, we know the deal. He came in as a 5-star recruit out of Washington State. Very heralded recruit from Mark Richt that Kirby Smart was able to persuade to keep in Athens, to hang on to his commitment. He won the job coming out of fall practice. Don't forget, this wasn't like he was handed the job. It was a competition, and Jacob Eason won. And then the first drive, the first quarter of the game, might not have been the first drive, first quarter of the first game, he goes down with an injury against Appalachian State. Jake Fromm comes in, and it's Wally Pipp. It's the old thing. You get hurt, you lose your job. And that's been what happened. So I got a chance to talk to him this week about that experience, and he said a couple things that stood out. One was, this is something that I can learn from and draw on later in life when I face adversity. The other thing was, he said he's not thinking yet about transferring, but not something he's worried about. I'm going to pause this Jacob Eason story, and Blaine, watch to your left. It's Kirby Smart going to lead the Dogs out of the tunnel right now. Get ready. We're going to go quiet here because it's about to get loud. We're about to go quiet. Georgia coming out of the tunnel.
Kirby right there in front, leading the Dogs. This will be the rest of the offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers. Everybody who's not a specialty type player will be coming out to continue warm-ups. Clock ticking down, 54-23 right now until kickoff at the Rose Bowl game, Georgia and Oklahoma. The cameras are out. I'm not sure if the band will play this time, but you will know when Kirby Smart and the Dogs leave the tunnel here out of the Beyonce dressing room. If you missed that, go back on the Facebook Live. You'll hear that story a little bit earlier. Here come the Dogs. looking at the dogs. They're hyped. They're ready. I think the thing about this game is we've been talking about it for 30 days now, and finally it's game time. I think the big thing Kirby Smart wanted to do, control the emotions. When do you want to be peaking? We're getting close to that time. They need to be peaking as the dogs get in the warm-up lines. Trenton Thompson out there. We did see Nick Chubb leading his line out, so just wasn't out catching passes with the guys earlier. DeAndre Walker, Langston Hughes right here. Richard LeCount getting warm as well. DeAndre Baker, who has talked about this possibly being his final season at Georgia, and have some of the other guys who are injured that are walking right by in front of the camera at this moment. Showing Rose Bowl memories on the big screen now, just showing a Texas over USC game. Vince Young. Here comes some of the other red shirts walking through. And some of the inactive players today. Mel Tucker, Georgia's defensive coordinator, standing in the corner. He's got all the defensive players, DBs, defensive backs coming right to him, getting ready. Jonathan Ledbetter out of Tucker High School. Dominic Sanders out of Tucker High School. A couple of guys that have been on this Georgia team for a while, making big plays. They've gone through some lean years here. Those last couple under Mark Richt where there were bad losses, but now they're on this stage. Kendall, you can see some more of the defensive linemen getting ready. Georgia's defensive line going to be important. Have to get after Baker Mayfield today, maybe get some sacks.
Yeah, and also don't give him running room. I mean, that's the balance. And I remember the first press conference we had with Kirby Smart after the Rose Bowl was announced. Somebody said, "How do you balance pass rush with not getting too far up the field?" And he kind of went, "I don't know. That's kind of the secret of football." So not that they have a secret plan, it's really hard to do, even if you're good at it, and even if you coach it. So pressure will be on these guys. If you look right in front of us, Blaine, we got the defensive backs backpedaling. And this is going to be a tough test for them as well. As you see DeAndre Baker there. Oklahoma can throw it all over the field. They can also frustrate you with the short passing game. You know, we all see the Sports Center highlights, the highlights on Fox 5 of those long pass plays. But they are more than happy to go the long way down the field and really make these guys tackle. Not always easy for a defensive back. And make them cover for a long time, try to force them into a 3rd and long and get them off the field that way. But they're happy going the long way down the field. They can do it all, this Oklahoma offense. As Kirby Smart said, there's really not an obvious weakness.
And Blaine, I might have you. It's impressive what's going on the field. There is somebody right behind you, Blaine, that I think people want to see, and he's probably going to get surrounded. Ugga has made his way. And the Seiler family has brought the Georgia mascot in, and I think Ugga famously got to ride in the plane on the way down here. It's tough for a Bulldog to get across the country, but I don't think they were not going to have the live mascot. And you see Sonny Seiler's wife, a famous Bulldog owner, standing there with the dog. It may be a day for Ugga to be on ice. It's warm out here.
It's toasty, but the sun's going to go down soon. And I can tell you from our time on Good Day Atlanta this week, when the sun goes down, it cools off. This is the desert. We're still in the mountains. So yeah, this is it will be a factor. The heat early. I mean, it's not hot. This is not an early season SEC game, but it is warm out here. So it's not like you can just roll in here and coast.
Kirby Smart wasn't worried about it early in the week, thought it would be cooler today. It's something to watch. These guys have to be at defenses out on the field for a long time. They'll get winded. You may see some guys cramping up. They haven't played in temperatures this warm, most of these teams, since September, maybe October in Jacksonville. But it's a warm day out here. We'll see how that affects things. Blaine, we can turn back around. You see some of the Georgia fans as they introduce the Georgia starting lineup. That was the yell for Roquan Smith out of Montezuma, Georgia. Junior linebacker, who is the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Taking a look at some of the other dogs getting ready. We're going to wrap it up here in just a couple of minutes. There you see Jake Fromm Fromm taking some snaps. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to follow at Justin_Fox5, at Cody_Fox5 on Twitter. We'll be updating throughout the game, as well as Fox 5 Sports on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook. We're going to have all kinds of coverage for you coming up after the game, win or lose for the Dogs. But winning, I know you'll probably all want to watch just a little more. And if they win, they are on to Atlanta next week. It is next Monday inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the national championship game.
Hey, before we wrap it up, and we will be in just a few moments here, we want to shout out some of our viewers from all over the place. We got Terrell from Harwell, Georgia. We got Tim from Nashville. We got Bob from Roswell. We got Ashley from Jacksonville. We got people from all over the place. We got Sandersville, Patty. We got Dallas, Georgia. Remember, we got our friend Tyler from Afghanistan. We have thousands of people viewing from all over the country, apparently all over the world. And listen, we appreciate it. You choosing to hang out with us here on Facebook. And listen, it's a big game. We just want to get you ready. And Cody, I'm ready.
Hey, we are ready. They're going to kick us off the field here in just a couple of minutes. We'll have to take our places in the press box as Rose Bowl preparations continue. I want to thank you guys for joining us again on Fox 5 News at 10 tonight. Also on Facebook right here. As soon as the game is over, get back on Facebook and watch us, because we'll be doing interviews, talking to players, talking to coaches, getting you a recap of today's game. Woo! It's been fun. This time has flown by. We wish you could all be here with us, but that's why we're here, giving you as much coverage as we can, because we know everybody wants to be inside Rose Bowl Stadium right now.
It's fun, man. It's been a fun week. We appreciate getting to be out here. We understand we're lucky, but listen, we talk to a lot of fans who feel lucky as well that they get to be here and experience it. And even if you're watching at home, it's something that I've heard it more than once in a generation kind of sports experience. So soak it up. Start 2018 off right, Cody.
Happy New Year to everybody out there. We're about 45 minutes to kick off. Get your snacks, get your bathroom break, and watch the Dogs.